After finally getting around to watching the developer livestream, I can comfortably say that Edge of Fate might be the edge of my patience with this company. Not only does it feel like a rudderless ship filled with people drawing doodles everywhere instead of trying to fix it, the exciting, and I'll say it again, exciting changes coming to the game are straight up ripped from Metroid Prime if you were to blend it with something like The Division. Now don't get me wrong, I do like gear score and gear tiers. It gives you something extra to chase instead of just high stats are good, but my god, did they have to screw it up so badly? They literally copy and pasted an idea of do higher difficulty stuff, get higher level gear, which I normally don't have a problem with. But you literally give a 50% damage resist and a 10% damage boost to the current set? Are you absolutely fucking moronic? What you have done is make all previous gear obsolete, except for the exotics which you have so gracefully decided to spare. Got a nice set of all 70 gear on a character, spec'd is nicely into what you want, that took hundreds of hours to achieve, that's cool, but there's a guy over there that was carried through the hardest difficulty activities to get better stat armor and does 10% more damage with 15% extra damage resist. What kind of fucking message are you trying to send here, Bungie? Do you all have a cuckold fetish or something? Because that's what it seems like to me. But let's repress that shit show and talk about the stats. They are being reworked, which I was sort of looking forward to, because it meant things like mobility wasn't going to be an issue anymore for the non-hunter players. But then I saw the weapon stat, a stat that directly boosts weapon damage. I mean, what the actual fuck? Am I tripping on LSD or something? Is DMG punking us? But I digress. Health is resilience with some nice additions to how shields work. Melee and grenade get a bit of an extra thing, so cool I guess. Intellect is reworked into super, but now increases damage, which I'm fine with because it's better than just cooldowns. Class is now its own thing that affects your class ability, so it's something important to keep an eye on. And then weapon. My fucking god. Without even playing the new DLC, I can see players literally speccing 200 into weapon no matter what. Titans will probably then go to 200 in health, Hunters 200 into super, Warlocks 200 into grenade. And the remaining points will be your build crafting. Well done, Bungie. But moving on to the armor archetypes and set effects. Set effects haven't really worked since they were implemented all the way back in Echoes, but now they might seem viable for the season they're released in. Because, you know, 15% damage resist and 10% damage increase, that bullshit. Apart from that, probably a waste of time because all 2-piece set effects I've seen are very circumstantial or only worth running if it's something extra on top of an established build. Archetypes, however, is a good idea, basically doing away with the ghost mod of selecting a higher stat armor rolls in favour of 2 stats split out into a primary and a secondary stat. I'm not going to give any grief about that, it will help players go for exactly what they want, so that one can count as a win. So I hope you enjoyed that little 2-minute interval of me just ranting about Armor 3.0 and how bad it's going to be, but now we're going to talk about this in the TWAB, masterworking. How have you managed to make this completely redundant? Masterworking used to be this really good thing where you could literally just grind out materials and make your armor better or weapons as you went. Now it's not going to matter at all in Armor 3.0 because apparently you will not be able to masterwork it and also the amount of stats will not increase. Unless they're the lowest 3 stats on your piece of armor, which I'm going to be honest, why? The whole point of Armor 3.0 was so you can make a nice build out of these stats, so why on earth would you then try and make a way for us to increase the other stats that we are not building towards? Surely it would be even better if the masterworking actually contributed to the stats we're building towards, or better yet, you could let us pick which stats we're going to be rolling them into. I personally would have been okay with the fact that if you could just have an option in the armor piece where you select something like, I don't know, intellect, or whatever that's being worked into, super I think it's called, and then as you masterwork your armor, it will get 15 stats extra in super. But instead, you decided to elect that for the 3 lowest stats, they are going to be getting 5 each. Why have you decided to make this an option? And then we come to this. So, they are basically reworking the exotic armor pieces into Armor 3.0. I'm actually quite glad they do this, but there is one thing I am very annoyed by, and that is the fact of they will lose any existing Artifice mod slot. So that +3 that you use to get a little bit more of an edge in any kind of stat that you need it to be, that's gone, and now you just have to basically just deal with whatever Bungie throws at you, apparently. But don't worry, the despair continues, because this change right here is basically saying you can no longer use whatever you want. And what I mean by that is the 10% buff that you get from using quote-unquote new gear. Apparently the exotics will be getting the same treatment as well, which would make sense because you need to have all 3 for the maximum buff. So there's going to be a rotation of the exotic weapons and armors, which I guess is the only way you can do it without completely destroying it, but still pointless. They should literally make it so it's not a thing. The whole point of Destiny and build crafting is that you use whatever you want to make the most cracked things you can think of, and then you can take on the highest difficulty doing what you love. So the fact that every single update that Bungie has thrown out is pointing towards us using restricted builds, this means the creators are going to basically have a field day making videos of what you should be using in every single season. And then we get to the season pass, which I've just had to rewrite the entire thing of because it is freaking fucking convoluted. First things first, they are reducing the price down to 1,000 silver, which you might say, oh, that's a really nice thing for Bungie to do. Except that it's not, because if you go further down on the page, it says they reduced them down to 110. So you will basically have the standard season pass that we had ages ago, but they have just increased the ranks by 10. And they very nicely said that the extra 10 are very special, when in reality, they're not really. You will get 4 exotic engrams, basically 6 prisms, and 4 ascendant shards if you're on the free pass. Not very special. The only way that becomes special is if you are literally a new player. If you're an experienced player and you've already got an abundance of other stuff, then it's pointless. But then if you look at the premium pass side, you literally get 2 synth strands, which I don't understand why they're a season pass reward, it's a bit confusing. You get 2 shaders, which is a bit better. Ascendant shards again, like we don't need more ascendant shards. A cipher, which you can get pretty easily. 2 transmog effects for when you spawn in by the looks of it. And also a new helmet, which was the standard thing for the 200 season pass. Which I'm going to be brutally honest, making a new helmet for this game is not difficult. I'm pretty sure it would take them a week, maybe 2 tops to come up with a design, so I don't know what they're playing at and they expect you to pay 1,000 silver. But yeah, I don't understand the direction Bungie is going in. It just seems like every update they release is somehow worse than the previous one, and I've got to admit, it's an impressive achievement to keep that track going. I could sit here and discuss a fix, but honestly, I feel like everyone can read between the lines at this point and see what Bungie's actually doing. So for the love of God, Sony, take over this decrepit company and just actually kick out all the leadership. It will make this game so much better, just the fact that we've got someone competent at the top. But I suppose the only important thing at the end of all this is that Pete Parson will buy a new car for his garage.